Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Lester Kitching Show. And today we titled it "It's Coming Home." So World Cup frenzy and fever is upon us right now. And with the World Cup being on, that brings up a really important topic that we're going to talk about today. And that is how you balance social life with your fat loss goals and controlling your weight and not letting your social life ruin your progress, stop the rhythm that you may have built up with your diet and your exercise, and ultimately mean that you end up gaining weight and feeling sluggish and lethargic, low energy, and ultimately gaining weight and not feeling as good or comfortable in your clothes as you could. So this episode is really for that person who is, if you are right now, almost feeling like you're a victim to your social life a little bit. And the problem with that is that when we are in a position where we just feel like we can't win. So it feels like, well, I either have to cancel my social plans, and that means out on missing out time with my family, with my friends, and it means that I maybe lose out on something that's a real highlight of the week for me. I have clients so Max, who's lost 50 pounds with me, George, who's lost 23 pounds with me, they go to a pub quiz each week, and it's something that's part of their routine and something that they really enjoy. They catch up with friends. It's a nice midweek social event, and they want to be able to keep that in. I've got lots of other clients as well who, again, very, very social. Obviously, I'm based in Teesside, so we've got Middlesbrough Football Club. So I've got a few clients who, have season tickets there, and when they go to the matches, they want to grab a few beers with their friends, or they're grabbing a burger from the burger van or whatever it is, and they want to be able to do those things. They don't want to stop them, but at the same time, a lot of people see fat loss and a social life as opposites, things that can't coexist. And today's episode, we're really going to dig into a bit of a mindset reframe around that. And also we're going to talk about some more tactical stuff that you can actually do to minimize the damage. But the bigger thing's going to be the mindset shift around that. And actually, that's what's going to make the big difference for you at the end of this episode. So what we want to acknowledge is that as part of any fat loss plan, we are setting it up in a way that we can sustain. And part of having an approach to our eating, an approach to our exercise, is that it's something that we can fit around a social life, whether that's going to be a night out or whether that's a full weekend away. We want to be able to feel confident that, okay, when these things come up, and these could be the highlight of your month or the highlight of your year even, that you can really go and enjoy them, and you know how to adjust your nutrition, you know how to adjust your exercise in a way that means that it doesn't really do that much, it doesn't really cause that much of a problem. What we also want to do as well is think that if we are going to cancel those social plans, then fat loss is where I'm going to go, and that's the big focus for me all the time. And really, that's that gets us in the mindset of that 4-week diet, that 6-week shred, whatever it may be, that crash diet, that 6-week boot camp where I'm trying to lose as much weight as I can. And then when I finish it, I give up and go back to my normal life. So what we want actually, and the way that I try and work with clients, is to get them to a point where we acknowledge that social events are coming up and holidays and trips away are coming up. And we build strategies around that to mean that we can still make progress, or we can just not take too many steps back, if any. And maintenance can also be a really big goal with that as well. So that's one of the first things that we want to look at when you are seeing a social event coming up. So it's the England match at the weekend, if it's going to be a birthday meal out, whatever it is. What we want to do is make a decision. So you want to make a decision and feel like you're the one in control rather than feeling like you're a victim to it, because that's not a very great place to live. So you make the decision on how this social event is going to play out. So you can either not go into that social event, is an option, but most people, including myself and all the clients I work with, and people typically who I speak to who are interested in working with me, don't want to do that. They want to keep the social life in, because guess what? That's often the best part of our lives. So we want to keep that in. So what we need to do then is understand that, yes, if I go and watch the England match on a weekend, I'll go and have a few drinks, I've grab some food from the pub, then I'm probably not going to have my best fat loss week. And it's about getting to the point where you accept that and you being okay with that, and accepting that maintenance could actually be a really, really good goal for you during that window. And especially with it being summer now, obviously weather's much nicer, so people are getting out and about, beer gardens, family barbecues. We've got summer holidays coming up, so you've got trips away and actual like that, the holidays abroad. Like, these are all going to be things that make fat loss harder than it was when your social calendar's clear and you haven't got any holidays going. So you might genuinely look at your calendar for the next week or month or whatever it may be and say, do you mean it's a really busy social time for me? I've got loads of things going on. That means I'm not going to have as much time to get in the gym, and I might genuinely have not as much time to get in the gym. And also as well, there's lots of food involvement with that, and I want to be able to enjoy those times, and I want to grab some nice food and have a few drinks with my friends or family or whatever it may be. So I need to appreciate that I'm not going to get the best results, but I can still get really good ones. And maintenance can be a really good goal for that time period. So that's the mindset shift I want you to have. And really, really importantly is, if you lived in an ideal world and let's say you've got 3 stone to lose, and you're going to foresee that that's going to take you, what's 3 stone going to be? 14, 28, 42 pounds. So say £2 a week, so 21 weeks. So if you've got 3 stone, 42 pounds to lose, and you £2 a week, that's 21 weeks to lose that weight. In an ideal world, if you could be consistent with your diet all the way through that, you could be consistent with your exercise all the way through that, we would still, a smart coach and a smart strategy around that would build in diet breaks for you. So probably around 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, depends on the person. We want to build in a week where we up the calories a bit. We might take down the training volume a bit. You might do a bit less in the gym, or go to the gym a little bit less that week. And it just gives you a bit of a refresh. So rather than going just flat out for 21 weeks, if you had that 3 stone goal, we want to build in some diet breaks along the way. And that would mean you have a much, much higher chance of getting to the end of that goal and getting to that 3 stone off, rather than getting 1.5 stone in and then being burnt out and just giving up entirely. The thing is, with all the clients that I work with and myself, and probably you listening right now, your social life will ebb and flow. So there'll be times when it's really busy, there'll be times when it's really quiet. So you don't necessarily need to plan in diet breaks. If you do have that 3 stone to lose, you don't really need to like strategically plan in those diet breaks. What instead you want to do is you're almost allowing your social calendar to dictate when that is. So we're coming up to, let's say you've got, in 4 weeks time, you've got 2 weeks where it's really, really busy. You've got birthdays, weddings, whatever it may be. You might think, okay, well, I'm going to go really, really hard for 4 weeks. I'm going to lock in and I'm going to push for fat loss. I'm going to try and get 2, maybe 3 pounds, because I'm really going to go hard for it for the next, per week for the next 4 weeks. And then when I get to this 2-week busy social weekend window, my goal is actually just to maintain. And you might lose £1 or 2 still, or you might just maintain. And if you can get through that 2 weeks, what you're going to find at the end of that 2 weeks is you've still banked those £8 or £12 or whatever it is you accrued during the 4 weeks of your lock-in, let's push for fat loss phase. But then you've really enjoyed the social window. You've recharged a little bit physically, in terms of you've been training a bit less in the gym, or you've been doing a bit less work in the gym. So your body is physically recharged a little bit. Also mentally, you haven't maybe been you haven't been tracking your calories, or you've just been tracking them a bit less frequently. So there's a bit of a mental recharge. And then also as well, there's that physical recharge as well. You've had a few more calories in, plus you've had the benefit of the social events. You've made some amazing memories, hopefully. You've had lots and lots of fun, and that gets you in a great mood for the next 4, 6, 8 weeks, where the social calendar quietens down, and that's when you can push for fat loss again. So in terms of your social life, you want to, as oftentimes is the case, you want to really zoom out and look at your whole transformation journey. So if I've got 3 stone to lose, I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I get there? Yes, we want to chop it up, but you might chop it up like that. Okay, the next 4 weeks is quiet. Then I've got a busy 2 weeks social wise, so I'm going to maintain during that. Then I've got a quiet 6 weeks. Then I've got a busy week, so I'm going to maintain in that week. Then I've got 3 weeks where it's quite quiet. Then I've got, and you might not necessarily forecast it out as far as this, because obviously stuff probably isn't planned as far as it in advance as that. But you can adjust as you go and just adjust those targets. And what that means is you're not giving up, you're not quitting. That's just a really smart strategy. So that's the mindset pivot around that, and being okay with maintaining, because ultimately that's going to mean that you get all the way to your ultimate goal, rather than the alternative is we cancel those social plans. So we miss out on fun things, and potentially your family and friends miss out on those fun things as well, because you're not going, so your kids can't go wherever. You also have the option of going, but then being really strict, or the alternative is you go and then you feel guilty because you're trying to be low on your calories and you're trying to make the best possible choices, rather than just giving yourself a little bit of breathing space, a little bit of wiggle room. Enjoying the food that you're having, enjoying the drinks that you're having within reason. You're not just going, you know what I mean? You're not doing the pubs 4 double cheeseburger food challenge, but you can comfortably go and grab a nice meal off the menu and have a few beers without having to worry too much about it. And you can really enjoy that without feeling guilty or picking the thing on the menu that gives you the least guilt. So you can really enjoy that. And that's what's going to be very, very helpful for you in terms of the social thing. And the next thing leading on to that is recognizing that actually, typically we've got, over the course of a typical week, you might have like something on a Friday or something on a Saturday. Most people don't have like a Friday night and a Saturday thing and a Sunday thing. So most people on average, it's probably 1 day a week is when there might be a social element to the life. Now, obviously it might be 2 on some and none on the other, but ultimately what we want to do is try and just give that some perspective. So if I've got that Saturday evening is I'm going to the pub with my friends, I'm gonna have a few drinks, I'm gonna grab some food, then recognize that isn't going to derail your progress, and you could probably still make gains during that week. You could still probably lose body fat. You could still definitely do well in the gym. The problem that most people have is they'll go and they'll wake up Sunday morning. They'll go on the Saturday night, and because they're not eating the boiled chicken and broccoli that they've been trying to shove down the face for the last 3 days and felt miserable having it, they kind of have a bit of a blowout. They think, oh well, I've shared a pizza with my friend at the pub, so I might as well have 2 bottles of wine plus get the dessert plus get a takeaway on the way home. Like, it's that almost like, oh well, I've had one thing, so I might as well just have the rest. And that's the thing that causes a much bigger impact, that almost all or nothing mindset, that I've had one thing, so I might as well just have everything that I can see. The next thing is the next day afterwards. So the second order consequence of that is that you might wake up and physically, energetically, you might be low. You've had probably a few more drinks than you would have liked. You've had more food than you probably would have planned to have. So you feel a bit more lethargic. You feel a bit sluggish. But more than that, you feel like you failed. You feel like you have failed your diet. You feel like you have let yourself down. You feel guilty for having it. You feel frustrated. Why can't I stick to it? You feel it almost also as well, if you've done this many times, and everyone I speak to has tried to lose weight multiple times before, they can almost think like, oh, here we go again. And it's a case of, I've had that one bad meal, so I know my pattern, because I've done this 7 times over the last 3 years, is to eat complete rubbish all day Sunday, is to do nothing, is to not go to the gym Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and is to start grabbing drive-throughs on my lunch break at work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I'm feeling shitty about myself. And it's not necessarily that Saturday night pub that was the issue. It was the fact that it bled into multiple days where exercise was lower, your steps were lower, your gym sessions were lower, plus your quality of food was lower because you ate more junk food, and you had more food because you were thinking, well, I've had this, I might as well have the rest of it. I've had one slice of cake, I might as well have the rest of the cake. It's almost that mindset with it. So the event isn't necessarily the problem for most people, it's their reaction to the event that is. And again, thinking of sharing kind of personal experience with that, again, when I was kind of in my like out of shape dad era, I was again, very similar. I would be thinking exactly what you're probably doing right now. I was thinking, okay, this time's going to be different. This time I'm gonna do really well on my diet. I'm gonna prep all the foods on Sundays. I'm gonna track all my calories. I'm gonna get back in the gym 4 or 5 times this week. I'm gonna really be on it. And then a social event would come on. I'd have something that wasn't in the perfect meal plan that I had in my head. And then I'd feel guilty. I'd feel, oh, why have I done that? It would knock my ability to get in the gym because I'd be like, oh, well, I've ruined the diet. I'm not going to make progress this week and give up. And then ultimately, it was just a few goes of that as I was adjusting to new dad life that ultimately meant that I got to my unhappiest and unhealthiest and heaviest that I've ever been. And it took me a good few months to build through that, probably 6 months really of those stop starts along the way, to really get in my head, okay, well, I just can't do that. And I can't set myself up for failure by expecting that I'm going to do that perfect plan and expecting that, just being naive enough to think that social events aren't going to come across, or being maybe naive enough to think that I am willing to give up my social life and stop having foods that I really enjoy forever. Because that's quite a naive way to think about it, that we're never going to have those nice foods again. We're going to have a quiet social life all the time. Obviously, these things are going to come across. So we need to get to a point where we can manage them and we can enjoy them. And like I said, I mean, you're obviously not going overboard. If you do have a massive blowout meal and you do the burger challenge and you have 2 bottles of wine and you have the dessert and the next day you have loads of rubbish, obviously that's probably going to be a week where you might maybe gain a pound or 2. But we're not going to be doing that. If we can just enjoy it and leave it at that event, when we leave the pub after the England match, hopefully with another win in the bag, the next morning we have our normal breakfast. The next morning we walk the dog, or we go to the gym, or whatever we had planned in a typical Sunday morning, we do that. Then going to the England match to watch it in the pub with our friends isn't an issue. And it means we got to enjoy, hopefully, England getting to a semi-final. And that might be another amazing match, which we remember for 10, 15, 20, the rest of our lives, potentially. Because we weren't there feeling guilty for having some beers, or we weren't feeling guilty because we had a burger and fries, when our perfect dose would have had a salad with no dressing and some unflavoured chicken. That's ultimately where we want to avoid getting to. And the final part I would say for that is all of this is, if we take that approach and we lose the body weight and we get down to that, we lose that 3 stone, just in the example I gave earlier. And during that 21 weeks, 24 weeks, whatever it is, we've been able to navigate some social times. We've been able to navigate a World Cup. We've been able to navigate a couple of weekends away with the family. We've been able to navigate a couple of birthday meals out. We've been able to navigate some times where we've been sick and we've not been really in it. We've had some times where we've navigated a really busy really busy time at work, where stress is high, demands are high, deadlines are coming up, and you're working more than usual. If we get through and we can lose 3 stone during that, and navigating all those obstacles that life may throw at us, then it's going to be really easy for us, or much easier for us to keep the weight off, because we've lost the weight, which is much harder than it is to maintain the weight. We've lost the weight when life's thrown us a few curveballs, and we've built our confidence and our belief in ourselves that we can navigate these things. And yes, we acknowledge that a busy social time is going to slow down our fat loss, or might mean that we maintain, or even that we gain a little bit of weight. But in the bigger picture, if we can get 8 weeks out of 10, 7 weeks out of 10, where we are making progress, and we have 2 or 3 weeks where we are holding ground, then that is going to be amazing progress. That is going to be fantastic progress. And we haven't had to live an unrealistic way to get there. So when we do get there, we can just copy and paste the last 10 weeks and do it again. Be confident that we can do it again, because our life isn't going to change that much in terms of that typical cycle where we've got birthdays and social events and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully, if that's something you're struggling with right now, maybe you are going to the pubs to watch the matches, or maybe you're just thinking summer's coming, you've got holidays booked in, trips away with the family, and you maybe getting a bit nervous and thinking, oh God, like, I know it's going to have a big impact on me. I know when I have some food at the barbecue, I know when I have a few beers with my friends in the sunshine on a weekend, that emotionally I feel really guilty about that and it has a big impact. Then hopefully this episode was really, really helpful for you. And ultimately, that's all you need to do, because that could be a huge priority for you. If you can crack the social event thing, that may be the biggest rock that you could crack. And ultimately, we're always looking for what's the highest impact things that are going to get you the best results, because ultimately we can't do everything, and oftentimes we get overwhelmed because we are trying to do 20 things and 15 of those don't really matter that much. We just would be better doubling down on the 5 things that really make a big impact. So if you enjoy this episode, make sure to follow, hit like, drop in your comment on whatever platform you're listening to this on, watching this on. And I would invite you to request a free copy of my books. I wrote a book towards the end of last year called Fat Loss for the Real World. I will just grab one right here. So you can buy it. It's a real book. You can buy it on Amazon if you want, or you can get your free copy at lesterkitchen.com/free. Enter your info, you'll get a digital copy sent straight to you instantly. Within that, as well as a downloadable toolkit with loads of cool things in there to make it really easy for you to understand where do I need to go, and it'll give you not just the tactical things, it'll also help you address that bigger picture stuff and understand what it's like on a journey of fat loss, rather than just giving you 10 top tips to lose body weight in the next 10 weeks, which is helpful, but certainly not all that you need. So lesterkitchen.com/free to get your free book. If you do see anything online that you would love me to talk about, if there's something that you are struggling with in your diet right now or your exercise right now, or you see something online and you're not too sure whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, or it's going to be something that's helpful for you, send me a message. I'd love to help you out. And also I could do it as a cool topic for the show. Obviously I can make it anonymous and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you have enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all those good things. And I will see you on the next episode. Thank you very much. Thank you.